Hello everyone, Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Creem, America's only rock and roll magazine. And this little documentary is on virtual cinemas. I watched this through Princeton Garden Theater, and this film is directed by Scott Crawford, who's capturing the story of this magazine called Creem, and came out of Detroit, and it was the rock and roll magazine that really captured that rock and roll spirit, and it was kind of like counter product to say like Rolling Stones, where it was edgy and funny and a little bit sexy, and it was by just small group of writers and from owner Barry Kramer, and this was like that rogue little kind of magazine that hit it big and competed and made an impact on a lot of people's lives. And this little documentary is a solid documentary. I enjoyed it. It's like an hour and 18 minutes or so, hour and 15 minutes or so. It has a lot of different perspectives. It's like you get Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers talking about it, Ted Nugent, Alice Cooper, and they all really represent Detroit and that Michigan mindset, and this documentary really captures the culture that was brought up through Detroit and how that made such a big impact on music. I feel like that was one of the most intriguing and most well realized aspects of this documentary. And you have other people like Jeff Daniels pops up, Cameron Crowe's involved, and like they're talking about the influence it had on them as well from a non-fully musical perspective. And then you really it spends time talking about the crazy, toxic, and ridiculous relationships going on between the writers and the owner and all those different aspects of this place. And honestly, that was probably where this film was the least amount interesting for me. When it stopped really focusing on the magazine, it was more about the people behind the scenes, and like it builds up to these sad moments of what happened to Barry Kramer, who passed away, and where things really went downhill for Creem magazine. But all the toxic relationships and all the craziness between the different writers, and I felt like this film missed out on the opportunity to really highlight what specifically made this magazine that impactful, because there's only one moment where you actually really heard what was actually written in the magazine. And it was this interesting little piece where one of their most controversial writers writes about the Runaways and completely trashes them, and then Joan Jett writes a little op-ed fighting back at them. And I liked stories like that in this film, and getting a sense of what the writing really was. And people talk about it, but you never really get to capture it and see it in this documentary and what it really had to say. You kind of just take people's words for it. And where I wish they would have focused more on that than a lot of the drama behind the scenes. I feel like this documentary, Creem, is a really solid documentary, and I learned a lot, and I enjoyed watching it. This isn't like the biggest, most impressive documentary of the year that blew me away, but I had a lot of fun with it. And especially if you love music, check this one out. I think you'll enjoy it. But those are my thoughts on Creem, America's only rock and roll magazine. But let me know your thoughts. Let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.